So what do you think of Apple? Better than most people were expecting?
Well, definitely the top line and the guidance were what the street wanted, something better and larger. I do think that the surprise was in wearables, and that really plays to Apple's strengths as a very, very strong global brand. The disappointment really was in services, which didn't meet estimates and is really growing not as fast as it should be to make up for the differential in the iPhone decline.
So what would you do with it? I mean, the stock had been up about 4.5%. Now it's up by 3.8%. Still, the market valuation is really close to the market norm in what has typically been a technology company. Some people say it's more of a consumer company now. What do you think?
I think that there are some rough waters ahead for Apple. It has the most famous brand in the world. It does great on things it puts its brand on, but it really has to amp up the growth and the offerings in its services. I don't think that it's going to be an easy year as they move into 5G and have to have a new innovation cycle without 5G on the phones. I think it's going to be a tough year ahead for Apple.
That's definitely counter to what a lot of market investors are thinking today. And what do you like right now?
I really do like what's still happening in the cloud-first marketplace. And I think the benefactors there, of course, are Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and, of course, some of the new issues like CrowdStrike, Zoom. We see these companies come out with really big numbers, really large growth percentages, even companies that have been around for a while but are still young, like ServiceNow, Atlassian. These are companies that are all benefiting from rebuilding the cloud-first stack. That marketplace is part of almost a $4 trillion IT spend this year, which is all cloud-first. And I think we really have a market where there's not a winner-take-all in the cloud, but lots of winners and lots of high growth.
Do you think the government will be deciding any of those winners if they look at Amazon and think about maybe breaking off Amazon Web Services or anything, or is that not something that you would spend any time worrying about?
You know, I don't really worry about that. I do think the government's going to try to take a whack at everything here. It's going to be part of everybody's political campaign. We heard some of it although tech wasn't specifically mentioned last night with the Democratic candidates. There seems to be sort of a lot of anguish towards anything that's large and growing. But we depend upon innovation as the backbone of this country, and we also do see every enterprise becoming a software company and looking at how they improve their digital experience with customers. We do truly have a global digital transformation underway, and there are many benefactors in the enterprise software space, including companies that are critical to the long-term viability of every enterprise, which are the cloud vendors themselves, Microsoft, Google, and Amazon.
Having said that, though, it's not just the Democrats you mentioned. It's Republicans at this point, too, who are not thrilled with big companies on any level. So it may not matter who wins in the election in terms of Silicon Valley's future on any of this.
Yeah, I do think that companies can't have unfair competitive practices, and there are antitrust laws, and companies should be held to the law of the land. But just breaking up for the sake of size, I don't think that's going to happen.
What do you think of Netflix? I know that's not a company you traditionally cover very closely, but if we're talking about the FANG stocks, it's certainly one that we're watching pretty closely here. Anything you heard this quarter change your mind about it?
You know, it was very disappointing results for Netflix, especially their user growth and also the competitive influences on that company. It does speak again to Apple, who wants to get into streaming as part of streaming media as part of their services offering. It's not a high gross margin business. Netflix has a 30 to just under 40% gross margin business. Those are not software businesses, which operate at 70 to 80% gross margins. It's not, to me, as desirable a business as a traditional software company or a cloud-based software company like a Salesforce or even a newer issue like a CrowdStrike.